You liar! You're lying! You're lying! You're lying! I know! I'm John Renton with the retro review of The Brood for 1979, written and directed by David Cronenberg. So you know with his filmography, he's absolutely going to take the most normal path with no fucked up things taking place, such as a lot of weird shit going on, as is tradition when it comes to David Cronenberg. I'm starting to think that David Cronenberg had a really traumatic childhood, or several childhoods, and it's just been reincarnated with all those memories, which is why he's made so many fucked up movies throughout his entire career. Let's talk about some of those movies, but have you seen The Brood? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's currently streaming on Max. I've heard of the movie, I've never seen it. So I decided after retro-viewing Gladiator and seeing Oliver Reed and what was left of his liver, a fantastic alcoholic as it were, I decided to revisit this film from 20 years before. And man, take a look at what 20 years and a lot of drinking can do to Oliver Reed. He can look a day over 100. So, David Cronenberg, he did do Crimes of the Future, which had neat ideas. It did have Leah Seydoux, or however you say that. The gorgeous one from, well, that's unfair because her and Adele were both very attractive, and blue is the warmest color. Leah's had the more commercial success. Adele's pretty goddamn good, but Leah's had more commercial success. That being said, Crimes of the Future, also Eastern Promises, as well as Crash. Crash was a very weird movie. The Fly, which I will admit had terrific body horror effects and some pretty good stuff, and Gina Davis could have solved all of this and cut 10 minutes off the ending by just shooting him, but I digress. As well as Scanners, Videodrome, and Rabid. So yeah, David Cronenberg, pretty fucked up individual. Oliver Reed, and what was left of his liver even in 1979, plays Dr. Hal Raglan, who is basically conducting various therapeutic experiments, very controversial therapeutic experiments, on various people at a compound and also at a secret lair, practically, where we find out exactly what is going on. And his main prize pupil is Nola, played by Samantha Eggar, who was in Curtains. She was the, remember Curtains, the one where the person was ice skating with a weird face mask and a hook? Yeah, she was in that. She's been in a lot of stuff, too. So, also, you have Art Hindle, playing Frank, not TV's Frank, not Frank Conniff. He is Nola's husband, and basically he's trying to just raise their daughter, Candy, played by Cindy Hiddens, who, I do have to say, the kid tries, but the kid's also really incredibly dumb at some points where I'm like, is this kid even capable of understanding anything, like understanding what's happening, but then you get what's actually occurring later. If you've not seen The Brood, I'm trying to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but this movie has been out for now about, it's been out for about 45 fucking years. It's been out for quite a while. So basically, Frank is trying to discover what Hal Raglan is doing, Hal 9000 Raglan. He is trying to find out what is happening, what's going on with his wife. Is it stuff that's all in her head? Is she happy? Is she feeling bad? Does she have sunshine in a bag? Or is she useless? Not for long, because a lot of horror is coming on. And also, you do have Henry Beckman. He plays Burton, or Barton, rather. Hey, Bart. Not Borton. Come along, Bort. No, my son is also named Bort. He is the, significant other of Juliana Nulia Fitzgerald. Man, she's been in quite a bit of stuff. So that being said, pretty loaded cast in all honesty, and there's a few other recognizable faces. So yeah, you have a doctor conducting experiments, and the husband's trying to figure out what's going on while making sure his daughter's safe. That's about it. It's a nice, tight 90 minutes, and it doesn't really let up once one particular thing happens in a kitchen. And after that, just a bunch of fucked up shit happens. I'm not going to say it's terrific. There are some terrific moments in it. It overall is a little bit messy from a narrative standpoint. It's also a little bit simplistic. It does dive into the body horror stuff, which even for 1979 had some pretty good, effects going on. And it does have one hell of an ending with a really stupid child and some stupid decisions. But nevertheless, it actually ends up being mostly fine. It ends up being pretty good overall. Not the best. You could argue there are better David Cronenberg movies out there, but this is certainly a bold one for him, especially at this point. And the movie, it costs like $1.4 million Canadian. I don't know what that 1979 would be in today's or even Canada dollars. You You can definitely tell it's Canadian because there are a lot of Canadian accents from like some of the people. Like, good God. Nothing against that. I'm not knocking that one bit. There are some terrific Canadian actors. I got some mutuals that are Canadian and awesome people. Some of my best friends are Canadians. God, I'm not digging myself out of this goddamn hole. Watch me pull something out of my hat. Basically, it ends up being a pretty fun movie overall. So I normally don't do this, but for retro reviews, I am going to be getting into spoilers to talk about the rest of the stuff. But if you have not seen this movie yet, check it out. 3, 2, 1. There you go. All right, let's just get into the spoilers right here. So, there's some experiments conducted by Oliver Reed's Raglan where he's talking to a man. Kind of looks like Danny Masterson from that 70s show. You can kind of see it now. I'm not talking about that actor. I'm sure that actor was a very nice individual, but still. Kind of, being a parental guide or parental guidance. It's like the whole daddy thing kind of got on my nerves, where it's like, I know people will look for parental influence in strange places, but seriously, what the fuck? So, Oliver Reed is a bit off his tits because he was Oliver Reed, and as terrific of an actor as he was, read up about the motherfucker. He drank a lot and got into some trouble with the law because he was a little bit of a weird guy. He was far in the reeds. But then the man is a genius, a crop-dusting genius. Picture Oliver Reed crop dusting. You're welcome. So, yeah, Candy or Candace, the little girl. I noted that the kid is probably going to factor into this, and the kid probably is like not necessarily fully human. It turned out I was right to an extent. Frank is trying to look for answers. His wife is isolated. The therapy can't be interrupted, but yet Candy can go along and check this out and visit, but the husband can't. So right there, that probably tips you off what's going on. Now, there is a point where Raglan is visited in his office, and they basically put it right out there. The Shape of Rage poster. Cronenberg's practically just saying it's about rage. It's about rage, the human rage and everything. He did that in Rabid. I need to rewatch Rabid at some point. And Psychoplasmus, Psychotronic, da. And yeah, Oliver Reed's liver can't run away. I mentioned Oliver Reed's liver in reviews today more than I care to admit. So, Juliana is a grandmother. I do have to say Miss Fitzgerald actually does a good job in her brief role. She isn't around very long. There's therapy sessions shown between Nola and Haglin. Is Nola being abused, or is she abused? Is she manipulated, or is she being controlled? Because then some weird stuff happens where basically Frank leaves, Candy with Juliana, and there's some weird shit going on. Some weird shit where it's like stuff's popping out of the fridge and off the shelves, like a gallon of orange juice, a gallon of milk, spilling all over the goddamn thing. And groceries are popping out, snacks are popping out of the goddamn shelves, and then some weird little creature shows up with a hammer and just beats Miss Fitzgerald right there. Just beats her about the head and face. And the kid sees this. What the hell's going on? See, this right here is proof when I retro-reviewed The Wizard of Oz. See, Randy Newman was right about short people. He was right. I've been telling you that, and you won't listen to me. There are plenty of awesome short people, but seriously, you guys got to learn to speak up, because you have no other way to speak. I'm going to stop knocking short people one of these days. So, Nola tries calling Frank, but she can't have any contact with him. Because part of her is still there, but it's pretty obvious also that there's a sinister plot taking place. Then she's talking to Haglin. That, there was possible abuse among the father and the mother. Now the grandmother that was killed. And, you should have stopped her from slapping me and everything. And there's a guy named Jan Hartog. That's just funny. I'm sorry. Hartog. So, nevertheless, he has some kind of weird thing on his neck. Some kind of weird throat pouch thing from experiments with psychoplasmics Psychotronic, yeah, I'm done. I called it a throat vulva. You're welcome. I guess anything as a whole, if you're brave enough, I wouldn't know. Don't ask me any further questions. So, Barton shows up to talk to Nola. Raglan turns him away. Guy wants to talk to his daughter because his wife's dead. And Raglan won't even say, like, no, you can go tell her that. Sure, it's fine. I won't even tell her that. So, Miss Mayer, played by Susan Hogan. I recognize her from other stuff. Something I probably even saw in the last year. But she's a teacher. She's Candy's teacher. And she doesn't meet a very good end, let's just say. There's a bit of a hint that there might be a possible romance between her and Frank on the horizon. Because at one point, they end up going over to, or she ends up having dinner at the place. And they're going to talk about stuff. But then Frank basically decides to go find Barton. And Barton basically ends up getting his ass kicked by that same weird short creature. Again, thank you, Randy Newman, for bringing it to light. Beats him about the head and face with some snow globe-like things. It was actually kind of funny. At least it was to me. I have issues. And then Nola calls and basically is yelling at Miss Mayer. It's like, oh, you're trying to come between me and my husband, you bitch, you bitch. Why she's Emperor Palpatine, I don't know. Yes, let the bitchiness flow through you. David! Okay, I'm done. But I don't know why I crack myself up doing this stuff. At this point, I've been doing videos for like about 10 goddamn years. There's about 8 years worth of shit up on this channel. And, whatever, it's fine. Anyway, so Nola's fully off her goddamn tits. Basically, just before it's obvious that Nola's off her tits. Basically, Frank ends up finding this weird creature, and this weird creature dies, dies in the bathroom after beating Barton about the head and face with snow globes. And yeah, the one guy from the beginning, looks like Danny Masterson, is trying to talk to him because basically this entire clinic has been shut down. People have been shuttered out. Gee, it's almost like the Reagan administration was they were able to see ahead to see what was going to happen because this is 79. And now Nola is the lone patient. And Nola is the patient basically because, well, okay, first, there's two of these little fuckers, again, short people, that show up at the school and beat Mrs. Mayer to death. And beat her pretty goddamn severely. To the point that the kids are all frightened. Frank shows up and puts a drawing, one of those giant, almost like cooking, paper things over goddamn, like, not saran wrap like stuff. It's like that clothy type paper. Puts it over that, and it's all the kids' drawings and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, hey, thanks, Mrs. Mayer. Now you're dead. Basically, the kids are, these little bastards are a form of Nola's rage, and this has been something that has been carried on in her family, or at least it's implied that has been carried on for a while, a manifestation of rage. Rage is built up, that's at least touched upon. And Frank shows up, Oliver Reed has a gun, and probably about, 5 bottles of gin. I'll stop making fun of Oliver Reed's drinking when I stop reviewing Oliver Reed movies. He's dead, he can't do anything. And yeah, the manifestation of rage. Cronenberg decides to go full crazy for the last little bit. All these creatures are laying around. It's like this isolated house that we'd seen before. We'd seen like the little outside of. We get to see all these creatures sleeping. Candy's there. Oliver Reed rescues her. Manages to shoot one of the creatures, but then gets overwhelmed and basically beaten down. And meanwhile, Nola is talking to Frank and then yelling at Frank. He's like, you're going to take her away. You're lying. And just absolutely insane. She, at this point, has also exposed most of her body to the point where there's like things growing out of her because there are these weird marks all over some of these people. like these experiments have been taking hold, but Nola is the one that they've worked on. They fully worked on. And now she's manifesting all these weird creatures, all this weird stuff, because of her rage and because of experimentation and whatever the fuck. And Cronenberg, I don't really think it's supposed to make sense. And then the kids are like bashing through the walls and trying to get it candy. And this kid doesn't move. Because this kid's really, really... I mean, the kid locks the door, smart, but then doesn't get away from the balsa wood wall. And then he basically ends up having to kill his wife. And then takes his daughter home. But his daughter's got weird marks forming on her. Oh no! She's going to become one of those creatures. Probably because she is one of those creatures. Because she's part Frank, but she's also got the rage of Nola. So there you go. It's the Enola virus. Yeah, should have thought about that before. Have you guys seen this movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.